that once women were able to talk about their stories, about their difficulties and things like that, things changed. Not only in you're not sure about, but taking that first step, even though it's unknown. And so when I left that step and I left the job, it just gave me freedom. I never knew. I always wanted to be an author. I always wanted to write books. Like I just put stuff on social media. And then after, I think 3 weeks, it became the international #1 best-selling authors list. So I was really excited, but it still wasn't exciting for me.
Welcome everybody once again to another episode of The Courage to Heal, El Poder de Sanar with Atala. As always, I just want to say thank you to God for another day, for allowing us to just be here again and just to share not just growth, but also experiences, transformation, and also healing. And today I am very, very happy because I have at home not just a good friend, not just a good advisor, but especially a great human being. This is a woman that actually has been touching many, many lives, not only my life, but the life of many, many people. I will even say thousands of people. I had the privilege to meet her probably more than 10, 15 years ago.
Almost 20, 2006.
2006. Could you imagine when we were working together in one of the best hospitals in the medical center of Houston? But I just want to tell you that at the moment that I saw her, she touched my heart in many ways because I saw her compassion, her empathy, her tenderness, but especially her special touch to really, really help people, specifically patients at that time. And today I have the privilege to have here in the studio, Sharmeen Baria. Welcome to The Courage to Heal.
Thank you, Atala. Thank you for having me here today. Appreciate it a lot.
I am very excited, Sharmeen, because when I saw you, I always tell you, one of these days, we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be really touching people's lives. And I think that time is happening. But I want you to tell us a little bit about who is Sharmeen.
Okay, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. Thank you, Atala, for having me. Who is Sharmeen? Well, all I can say is I came here to US when I was 17 years old, born in Pakistan, came with my family, who did 1 year of high school over here and then went to college, got my degree in social work and went to graduate school and went into a medical center to become a social worker and worked over there. That's where I met Atala. And Sharmeen is many things to many people. Sharmeen is someone who loves to have fun, likes to joke around in her spare time. I'm studious as well. I love to read. I love to write books. I love to write poems. I love horses. I also love to take care of people in my family, especially when we first came here. It was mostly me being the firstborn that had to take care of my family, making sure that they understood the system and just everything. I was like the trailblazer, doing the things that was uncomfortable for my family and paving the way.
When I saw you, Sharmeen, I remember you were taking care of patients. You took care of thousands of patients too. And I remember when I thought like, wow, what a woman, because you have a high level of compassion. And that's something that not everybody does. Not just because we were working in the medical field, but I saw you also with people, even in my life also, when you helped me when I was going through something very, very difficult, which it was my custody. So I know that you have a heart also to help women, right?
Yes.
So I would love to tell me a little bit about that, bridge. You, from medical field, you went to getting many certifications. I know also that you wrote, several books, but also you are leading women. So I want to tell me a little bit about that, please.
Yes. Okay. So my journey actually started working in a medical center as a social worker. And time again, I was kind of touched deeply, like looking at the women who were not feeling good. And they would keep coming to the hospital again and again and again. And I would see that because the way our healthcare system is set up, many times people would just have the patient be discharged. They didn't have enough time to listen to their stories. And I made extra time, even though if I had to stay late at work, from work to go home, I did that. And I realized that once women were able to talk about their stories, about their difficulties and things like that, things changed, not only in them, but I think by listening to their stories, it was also healing me because I've had a tough time I was in a relationship with my husband that wasn't good. It was an abusive relationship. And I just couldn't speak about my own truth. And so I was just helping people. And at the same time, I felt like I couldn't speak my own truth. And so when I allowed somebody to speak their truth, it allowed me to really understand that the power of words, power of your story is so important. And that's what motivated me to help women. And since then, I decided that it was time for me to leave the medical center and
After how
do my
many
own thing.
years, Sharmeen? After how
Oh,
many
after
years?
32 years.
32 years. How has been that change? Because from being in a hospital, you have your own schedule, your own activities, duties, and then being an entrepreneur is another story. Totally different. Mindset differently, right? So how are you having facing that journey?
It's been difficult though. It's been difficult knowing that there is like you are by yourself many times, like you're having to struggle through and push through to kind of figure out what needs to be done. But at the same time, I think the most important thing is it's given me the freedom to do things my way. It doesn't have to be looking at the rules and guidelines and stuff like that, like functioning from being inside a box. I can be me. And I think about in 2021, I realized that it was time for me to leave the medical center. And then I wanted to open my own business, coaching women mostly. And I wanted to put the brand name as Free to Be Me. And that was like for me too, like when we are free to become ourselves, then life is free. We are free. And that's what I want to guide women to, back to their own wholeness, back to their freedom, especially by allowing them to free their voice, to speak their truth, speak their story, so they don't feel like they are just living someone else's life, that they get to live their own life, especially in this day and
So
age.
practically you decide to really have not just tagline, but actually was something that you apply into your life.
Yes, it's been difficult though. It's been hard. It's been like literally learning from all the experiences that I've gathered. And I really feel really touched. I think God put me in the medical field, especially as a social worker in the hospital. When I was 25, I got married when I was like 28. But learning and being there for patients, I think also taught me about the resilience, the human heart, the struggles that they had gone through, not just medically, but through other, relationships and things like that. And I think at that time, I was paying a lot of attention to what these women's were, or even men were going through. And those stories touched my heart. And when I was going through my own difficult marriage, being in an abusive relationship for 10 years, I could see flashes of all the patients that I had worked with, and something about them stuck with me throughout. And those advice, those moments, I think guided me most during my most difficult period in my life, which was to decide to leave my husband at that time.
Sharmeen, when you're saying something very powerful, because maybe there are going to be some women also there that maybe they are right now at the beginning of this journey. That's mean that maybe they are in an abusive relationship. That maybe it's mean that maybe they are trying to change a job, maybe from job to go to their own, to create their own business. So there are so many layers, so many stages that we can talk about it. And I wanted to now just mention something. Here we're talking truly with vulnerability, with the freedom to be ourselves, from the experience that we have been going through, from the healing journey also from Sharmeen, to be in an abusive relationship, but also to be now able to lead women and to help them to heal. I want to say something, Sharmeen, that maybe some people know, maybe a lot of people doesn't know. We come from the medical field after helping thousands of patients, touching people's lives, but also you touched my life in a very deep way. And it was through when I was going through my custody. And I think that it was something that for me, I saw not just an amazing human being, I saw your talents, your gifts, the desire not just to help, but also to help that person to heal. So it's quite interesting because now we both are pretty much in the same journey. So what was the experience from you by going from medical field, then coaching and also leading women, then writing books? What is that journey? What is some of the challenges that you face, but also the transformation that you have had?
I think for me, the greatest transformation happened when I really decided to be true to myself, decided to stop listening to what other people wanted me to do, like continue to work, not leave your job, do this, do that. And there was a moment, it was a defining moment. One time I was working at the hospital, and I realized that my time in the hospital had come to an end.
Mhm.
There was something bigger and better waiting. I did not know what that was. I know Atala and I, for like, I don't know, 8 years, been
You can
planning.
share it because this is
Yeah,
important.
we've been planning to do something like this for the longest time, standing in the parking lot, just talking about what we could do and how we could lead people and women and just do something that we were called to do differently. And sometimes it would be like an hour, 45 minutes after we would get dropped off from the bus in the parking lot, just talking. And it's like, oh, Atala, it's been an hour. Let's go home and let's do this. We both had kids, responsibilities. But those were the most beautiful moments because that taught me that you can move from something that you're not sure about, but taking that first step, even though it's unknown. And so when I left that step and I left the job, it just gave me freedom. I never knew. I always wanted to be an author. I always wanted to write books. And I reached out to somebody, and within a month, we were just communicating on Facebook. And I joined one of the coaching groups, and she said, I'm writing a book. I want you to be invited. And I said, I've never written a book. What do I write about? And she's like, well, write about I'm powerful. I said, I'm not powerful. I don't feel powerful. And she said, yes, you are. Write your story. And then it was after 20 years that I recognized that my story finally came out. It took me that long. It wasn't easy. It was a hard journey of learning and coming to terms with your own self, what you've done, what you could have done better, why you were stuck in this relation, asking why. And then one day I just realized, stop asking why and use the experience to make a difference in someone else's life, but also in my own life. So when I wrote the story, that's when the
What
story
did
wrote
wake
itself.
up in you, Sharmeen? You're going through your whole life.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there were a lot of awakening moments, right? And a lot of transformation too. Do you remember when something like say, this is what I really wanted to do? And I'm gonna invest in myself and I'm gonna truly go forward with that.
Yeah, it was just a calling, a deeper calling, like almost like a soul mission. I don't know, I'm
Mhm.
laughing because I imagine, I'm like, what can my business look like? And it
Mhm.
said free to be me. And then I'm like, oh, it would be nice if it was like a movement. Everybody said free to be me. And
Do
then
you believe it could be a movement?
Huh?
First of all, do you believe that it can be a
I think
movement?
so, because right now with everything that's happening in the current world situation too, I really feel like we're going through some really difficult times and difficult changes in the way the world is awakening also, and many people are feeling disconnected. They don't feel connected to each other. They feel isolated. The mental health issues have skyrocketed. People feel so left out. And I just feel like if everybody just focused on themselves, looked within to see what they can do to change even a little bit about themselves, and then continue to make those positive changes, they can see a big shift in their own selves. Because now when I look back 5 years ago and 10 years ago, I'm like, I don't recognize me in many ways. I feel like I'm brave. I've made mistakes. I continue to make mistakes. I fall flat on my face and I still keep getting up. And it's kind of like a laughing joke in my family that this woman keeps falling down, but like the Energizer Bunny just keeps going.
But-
And I just love that.
But yeah, I think that this is a journey. We all are experiencing our own journey, right? Sometimes we're jumping from a stable job to the entrepreneurship, which
Yeah.
is a totally different game. It's needed a lot of mindset, different mindset, different belief system. Also, I think faith
Yes.
is it needs to take place also. But especially I think when you have a goal, you have to really understand that call, it can be not just a dream. It is a purpose. It is a legacy that maybe you're building, and you need to invest in that
Mhm.
specific dream, in that specific desire. But especially, you need to invest in you. I think when a person really decide to go forward to say, this is what I visualize. A vision comes because somebody else
why.
placed in our mind, in our
Yeah.
heart. And when you're able to be brave to go and be free to do it, that's breaking chains, that's breaking our own limitations.
Yeah.
So how are you embracing all these changes in your life, Sharmeen?
I think the most important thing, like you said, I think our thoughts are the most important thing we need to pay attention to, because thoughts can become things. So what we think is how we start feeling. So thought creates feelings, feelings create emotions. And then from there, whatever our emotions are, we create our own reality, whether we are scared or we are afraid. So I think thoughts are important. Learning to be vulnerable, I think that's another most important thing. It's okay to be vulnerable, because when you're being vulnerable, you're being authentic. You're letting people know that you're not always this put together person, that you're not just this strong person all the time. There are moments that I've gone through that are very, like, I've struggled. There are weak moments. There are moments of resilience. And so I think the most important thing is being authentic, allowing your thoughts to be more positive than negative, and reaching out and finding people, not going through life alone, just connecting with someone and having a community like Atala. Like, she's been forcing me, come and do the podcast, come and do this, do that. And I was scared. I was like, I don't like the way I look on the camera. I don't like this way, that way. But we laughed it off, and it's like it's a whole journey, and it's fun to look at your messiness. It's like what you were doing. It's like making a piece of pottery. It's kind of messy in the beginning, but then you put your own touches and you make it your own. And so I think that's what's important. Like, go. One of the things I say, do things in life that make your heart sing, regardless of what other people tell you to do. Because when you're coming from a place of love and heart, everything falls in place, and you don't have to worry about anything, because I think there's a higher power, God or whoever, watches upon us and pushes us in that direction. And so I think Atala's told me 100 times too, and I believe, take that small step, and then another step, and then one step will lead to something else and something else. And then God knows, after 2 years, I'm sitting here doing this podcast. So,
But you know what? It's so true, Sharmeen. When we're doing something with love, with that kind of certain thing, we know it that little steps make a huge difference. First of all, because we're breaking our own limitations, our own barriers, right? But especially, we're investing in something that is there. When a vision is there, I always say, follow your vision, because most probably there is a destination there.
Yeah.
So even though sometimes we don't see things happening, that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. We are also being transformed, right?
yeah, in the process.
And I think transformation comes from also saying yes, investing in yourself, and go forward with whatever is in your vision. You have a big vision, Sharmeen. I know when you were talking about, movement, the power of, helping women to feel free. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I have heard stories after stories of women, and it is true. Women, sometimes we feel like we don't have a voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel intimidated. Sometimes the women, it can be very strong women, but guess what? It's very sensitive and weak in many areas. So many times, I think that when you have that vision of women helping women to feel free, I think I can see already a movement in my mind. I can see already women helping each other. I can see already women in communities saying yes to themselves. So what are you saying yes to yourself here in the podcast, in the Courage to Heal? What is that thing that you want to go?
I think all I'm saying is yes to my heart, first and foremost, like allowing my heart to guide me, allowing my intuition to guide me, because I think some of the most important moments in my life have been when I stopped listening to others and family members and people and stuff like that, and just became quiet. That's what I've talked about in my second book, Whispers of the Heart. Like, sometimes it's important to just take a moment to be quiet, pause, breathe, go inwards rather than go outwards, because our world is so noisy. We just keep looking at the new trends, what's happening.
True.
When we are silent, in silence, we can then listen to our heart. We can open up. We can understand what we want to do, what we don't want to do, how we can go, and then being authentic. And then from that, having faith and just taking a leap of faith and moving forward, and leaving the rest to God, I guess.
I love what you say, because I always think that posing is something that we all should embrace even more.
Yeah.
I think that quiet moment gives us direction, gives us intuition and wisdom too.
Yes.
So I completely agree with you. I actually, I apply the posing in everything that I do in coaching, speaking, and training, because I learned to have the ability to say, no, it's right now.
Yeah.
That's something that actually helps our immune system.
Yeah.
And
recalibrate.
Yes, to just feel more alive. Aligned, and especially also to be more in harmony, I think, too.
Yeah.
So, Sharmeen, I want you to tell us a little bit about those amazing books that you have been writing, and especially to ask you, what do you see yourself doing with these books? What is your vision?
I think when I first wrote my first book, I was really excited because I wrote it and they were like, well, we need to push it and market it and all that. I wasn't sure what to do. I had never written a book. I'm like, I just put stuff on social media. And then after, I think 3 weeks, it became the international #1 best-selling authors list. So I was really excited, but it still wasn't exciting for me. It was like I wrote a book, but it wasn't until I actually took the book, opened it, and I read it as a reader, not as an author. It really shifted something in me. It allowed me to really see my own story on paper, and it allowed me to really connect at a very different level. It's different when you're writing your own story, but it's different when you act like this other person reading it. And when I read, there were moments I cried. There were moments I felt touched that where did all these words come from? And I felt like, yes, I am powerful. I wrote this and I gave voice to it. And even though I was intimidated, like, should I write? Should I not write? What would my ex-husband think? But I'm like, no, I'm going to write it because it is. And then I started getting calls from my friends, and then other people and other women started calling me. I did not even know. Somebody from Facebook told me that I know this aunt of mine, and I'm still in touch with this lady after a whole year. She's not ready to leave her husband, but she still wants to know what to do, what not to do. She said she purchased my book. And other women have said, thank you for allowing us to become powerful. And I think I shouldn't say this, but after my book, there were a couple of my friends in my own social circle that decided to leave their relationship that they were unhappy with. And I felt really badly. They did have a ripple effect.
But you're talking from your own experience.
Yes.
You're not saying leave your husband, right? You are just speaking your truth.
Yes.
And I'm sure that many women feel, so connected with your story. So of course you open the eyes of so many women, because at the end of the day, I think sometimes women, they can live in very abusive situations, and it becomes their own way of living, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
they can't see anything.
With fear about making a decision. So you have been like a leader in this area where people can listen to you because you went through.
Yeah.
So that's different when somebody writes from,
that experience. But I want to just share something very important too. I think right now for women, it's a good time to speak up, speak out. Because before, even in the 1990s, it wasn't a good time. Women were not taken seriously. Women were like shamed. Even to this day, they are shamed in many ways, but they still have a voice. And the younger generation is also paving path for us. And so I learned that we have to be strong now, because women like to live in communities. So we can only raise women up when we form a circle and we push through. Because competition is not just vertical. We don't go from just you trying to get to the top, but for women, success comes from being able to hold another woman's hand and then another woman's hand, and like in a big circle moving forward. And so that small ripple creates a larger ripple. And I think that's how we can shift the society's thinking, the way they feel, and we can move forward in that.
I love it, because I think, a connection, communication, and union can make a huge difference in life, in women, in men, in society, in humanity, I think. So, Sharmeen, I wanted to, please, if you can just read a paragraph from one of your books. I would love to just kind of...
One might come.
Sharmeen, what are the books that you wrote recently?
Yeah, so I wrote 2 books. The first one was I'm Powerful, which talked about my journey of having the courage to leave my ex-husband, now my ex-husband. And then the second, and that was like my transformative journey and what happened and why I decided to leave and things like that. The second one, which I want to read something from, is The Whispers of the Heart, right there.
The Whispers of the Heart. Where that name came from?
It's actually an anthology. I didn't write the whole book. It's just parts of the book. So we were like about, I think, 15 authors or 19 authors from all over the world. I was invited to write after the gentleman read my first book, which I had no clue that some guy was reading my book, and turned out that he's very well known. He has been like putting these books up. This is a 40th edition. And so he's a 40-time best-selling author, and he does documentaries and stuff. And he's in I think he lives in Thailand. So he asked me to write. And so I chose my book's title as Belcore. And Belcore just means beautiful heart in Italian. So, and I like Italian. So
I
I said,
love
I'm
it.
going to put down bel cuore. But then one of the things as I was writing, I just wanted to read this because in bel cuore, I wrote about like stillness, importance of vulnerability, trust, and faith. But this is what it was like a conversation that I was having with my heart. And this is like a section where my own heart is giving me advice. And so it says, bel cuore reminded me that sometimes logic needs to escape us as we boldly forge ahead, embracing the whispers of the heart that come out of stillness, trust, authenticity, and most importantly, faith. With this beautiful revelation, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. I understood that once we take a leap of faith, the universe comes through for us and brings forth many unexpected blessings. Our resolve strengthens even more when we have faith to navigate the vicissitudes of life by means of deep inner knowing. There will always be light waiting for you at the other end, even when we had anticipated darkness.
I love it.
So I think that's important that we need to really go inwards. And when our heart speaks, let it speak. Don't censor it. Just let it speak freely because it's your soul speaking through your heart.
I think so difficult. I mean, to arrive to that term, Sharmeen, because we're talking about also, I think, your soul, your spirit, that connects that deeper level, right?
Yes.
It's not just our mind, it's not just our heart. Some people say, what the heart says. What about what your soul says? What about what your spirit says?
Yeah.
That's even deeper.
Yeah.
I think you have grown tremendously, Sharmeen. I am very, very proud of you. I'm very happy that we're sharing this space together, because at the end of the day, we want people to know that it's possible, that you have to go forward with your dreams, with your goal, with your purpose, with that legacy, but especially you have to act in faith. I think faith makes a difference in every person's life.
Yeah.
In the healthcare industry, in the business, I mean, as an entrepreneur as well. But at the end of the day, you mentioned something important too. Speak. Be free to speak your own truth, right?
Yeah.
What do you can say to women right now that they're watching you, and maybe they want to be watching you later?
I think what I want to let women know is that trust your heart. And if you give me permission, I want to read this poem. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yes, I wanted to read because I think it'll help women understand why it's important to read. So in the end, it was like bel cuore. I shouldn't have said that, but bel cuore means beautiful heart. But I actually wrote a poem. So basically, it was like shortly after this revelation, just as I was about to awaken from my peaceful slumber on this soul stirring Sunday afternoon, bel cuore's identity was eventually revealed as she channeled her wisdom as a poem for all of us who dare to listen to the whispers of our heart. And this is what the poem, it just came to me, and it's titled Bel cuore. It says, I am your guide, your teacher. I love to reside within your soul. I love nothing more than to serve you. I don't push, but gently wait for you. For when you become still, I am given permission to speak. I do not speak loudly. I speak my truths in whispers. If you are wise, you will invite me to speak in silence. I promise to reveal nothing but the truth, your truth. I am bel cuore, a beautiful heart. And I think that's the thing. If you want to really know yourself, learn to trust yourself, learn to find stillness, learn to be authentic, be vulnerable, and have faith, and then just do what feels right to you from your heart.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love you because I have seen how you have been touching many, many people's lives, even before you start becoming an author. You just touch people in the way that you are, with your heart, with that wisdom, with that intuition also that you have developed over the years as well. So thank you so much, Sharmeen, for being here and for share your heart with women, with people, and especially just for being you, because you are free.
Yeah.
That title, that slogan, or that movement, it is true. That's where you are.
Yeah. And I want to read one last thing before I do.
Of
This is
course.
only so that women can know that what happens when you feel transformed.
So, Sharmeen, I know that you wrote an amazing book also that is called I Am Powerful. I would love for you to share a little lines about this book, please.
Thank you. And I think this is important because I think this is a book about my transformation, my transition from healthcare and everything. So I think towards the end, this is what I wrote. I said, Answering my soul's calling, I left my career in healthcare to pursue my passion as a transformational coach. For me, the best gift I could have ever given myself was to live in my own truth, which has given me the gift of freedom to fully express myself, free to be me. As I close my eyes to experience my newer and freer version of my transformed being and look deeply into my soul, I hear the following words emerge from spirit nudging me to honor and reclaim my metamorphosis. And this is actually when I closed my eyes, this is what came up. And so I wrote it. And so what I heard from my own spirit is like the spirit talking to me and saying, and you can close your eyes if you want
I
to
would
listen
love
to
to.
it.
I will do it.
It says, close your eyes and look within your soul, for therein lies the purpose of your being. I want you to know how much I respect and admire you for your smile, intelligence, open heartedness, compassion, integrity, courage, generosity, loyalty, love, kindness, selflessness, and the ability to breathe life everywhere you go. I do not want you to ever doubt how powerful and beautiful you are in person and in spirit. You are the light that helps others come out of their dark places and woundedness so they too can shine and see the light like you at the end of the tunnel. With these above sentiments, I begin this new chapter of my life, anchored in self love, acceptance, and freedom. My wish for you is that you will always remember how powerful you are and that you will never underestimate the untapped potential that lies hidden within you. Always look within to find your truth and lead a soulful life, for therein lies your power to set yourself free. The cycle of violence is behind me now as I embrace my emergence into light, peace, and love. My journey feels complete now. And then I just signed Love and Light, Charmeen.
What a powerful words,
Yeah,
Sharmeen.
thank you.
And what a transformational words as well, because you are going through not just your own journey, but I'm sure the journey of thousands of
Yeah.
people, not just women, I would say that, but also men, because here we are
Yeah.
talking about women, but in reality, women, men, children, we all need to heal.
Yeah.
We all have something that we need to let go, something that we need to truly embrace with more love, with more compassion,
Yeah.
with that empathy that we're all talking, because at the end of the day, those values transform lives, transform our own health, but also relationships.
Yeah.
Sharmeen, thank you. Thank you so much for being here once again in the Courage to Heal, Poder de Sanar. And I would like to share with us where people can reach you, where they can buy your books, where they can find you.
Both books are available on Amazon, and the first one is also available on my website, which is www.sharmeen, Sharmeen, Baria.com.
Wonderful. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Sharmeen. And it was a pleasure for me to have you here. Very special program.
Yes, and I want to end this before Atala, sorry, but I just want to say this. I think the most important thing is, I think as women heal themselves, we heal our families, and as we heal, we heal everybody else around us, including men, children, and people from previous generations. Because when we embody love and when we embody ourselves and we choose ourselves, it has a ripple effect from the family. It moves out into communities and nations and stuff like that. So I think women at this point need to join hands and not be afraid to use their voice in a powerful way to do what's the right thing for them first and foremost, and then for their children, and then moving beyond. So I hope we can do this thing together.
Say it
with conviction, so we can be free to be me. Here we go. Thank you.
Okay. And I wanted to also share that if you are looking for guidance, for a mentorship, but especially for really transform those emotions, those feelings that sometimes they are overlapping for years, you can also contact me. You can reach me at atala.tobar. Atala.tobar in Instagram. You can also find me through my website, www.atala.tobar.com, and also via LinkedIn as Atala Tobar. I really believe that we all need not just help, we need to make decision that if we make the decision, that if we truly want to live lighter, we need to be able to learn how to also transform not just our feelings, our emotions, but the way that we have been thinking over the years. Sharmeen, I would like to just say something. we have a call, and I know that, not just the medical field, but we saw over and over, people are going through, sometimes, how can I say this? Like so much pain, not just emotionally, not just physically. We know that every person in this world has something that is carried for years.
Yeah.
That's what I have learned too. I would like to invite you to also join efforts. People is there maybe watching us. Maybe somebody is there, I'm sorry, going through a difficult situation right now. Maybe a broken relationship, maybe a divorce, maybe a custody, maybe somebody's ill in their homes. So how we can support people here? How you can support them?
I think the most important thing is just people mostly suffer because they feel isolated. They feel like they're the only ones and they're afraid of speaking out. Because when we are going through difficult moments, we are not wanting everybody to know that we are going through some hard times. And I think once you open up and once you see somebody else that has gone ahead of you, it makes it that much easier because people that have gone ahead of you, even if they've taken a couple of steps ahead of you, they've actually they've actually taken the veil off and showing you, hey, there is a better life, better thing or experience if you just take that extra step, come into this direction. And people are afraid. But if you reach out and if you touch one hand and if you just say one person, that one person's life can in many ways affect somebody else's life. So don't ever underestimate your power to change even one life, because one life is worth saving. And that life that you've saved is going to be so appreciative, and they just cannot help but pay it forward. And so love and kindness and empathy that we all are lacking right now is the key to bringing us back to our hearts. And when we come back to our hearts, we move forward in love, we move forward in light, we move forward in solidarity, and we move forward where we can envision a better world for ourselves, our children, our parents, ourselves. And so we can be free.
You mentioned something very important. One time I remember I was in a group of women, and somebody started saying that she was going through a lot of pain. So for me, pain, I say, okay, there are different kinds of pain, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to contact her privately. And it was amazing. I have a call with her. And I remember she was going through a lot of not just pain, frustration, anger, all these emotions that overlapping for many, many years. And then she sent me a beautiful note and say thank you. I didn't know that she wanted to take away her life until she said thank you for helping me to go through. I was like, wow, sometimes we don't know how much we can help somebody to just, let her speak out, just being able to be present. So I think that we all have something to do, and especially we can always offer help in many different ways. A simple word, a simple ear can make a huge difference in people's lives.
I think listening and just listening I think the most important thing is like when we listen without judgment. That's number one. Even if somebody doesn't have your point of view or you don't agree with it, if you just sit down quietly and just create silence, I think silence is a sacred pause. It really allows you to connect heart to heart. And then when there is this connection with the heart going, that's the heart coherence. That's when things start to slow down. That's when you start seeing beyond the person's belief, limited belief in mindset and this and that. You actually start looking at the person's true essence, their soul. And in that moment, you can then speak the truth because it'll land very differently when it's coming from your heart, and the other heart will receive it. So it's sometimes not even the words, it's your presence that matters. And so
Completely agree.
your presence is so important. So just be available and just let spirit work through you. I think that's one of the things I've always learned is like, even when I'm speaking, it's not me speaking. It's like this higher power just comes through me and just says the words that needs to be said many times. And that has changed so many people's lives as well. And I've taken it for granted until I've taken a pause away from the hospital. And when I start thinking about the thank you notes, and I have tons of thank you notes from patients and gifts that patients gave me, and I've kept it still after, I don't know, 30 years. And when I look at it, it's like, oh wow, that person's thought of me like that. That person thought of me like that. And it's like a glimpse of who you have become in this as the years have gone by. And when you feel proud of yourself, I think that's the best feeling. And that's when you know that you've transformed yourself for the better. And you are not done, because it's like transformation is like a spiral. You finish one round and then you're like, oh, I'm done. Now something else starts. And you just keep going up the ladder of evolution, I think, and just become
what we're gonna
yourself.
do with you, Sharmeen. You have so many, so much wisdom. You have so many experience. I would love to invite you to another episode, Courage to Heal and El Poder de Sanar. And for just being here and be you.
Thank you.
And also thank you to Motiva Activa for always open the door of this house in where we can be able to share not just experience, but also transformation and healing. So we're going to see each other next week here in Courage to Heal.